Hello YouTube! Welcome back to Jamie Cars. Today we are installing a NextBase 320XR rear cam bundle dash cam set in the Volvo V70 2.4 Turbo, a 2002 Volvo, affectionately known as Ragnar. It comes with 6 meters of cable for the rear camera to connect to the head unit. Yep, got this as a Christmas gift. The 320XR does come as a rear cam bundle, front and rear, all nice to go. 6 meters of cable as you're seeing there. That's a lot, even for a station wagon, so I'm going to have to tuck that up into the headliner. That connects this rear camera, which is a little BB-8 unit. It's a little ball that can be positioned in any angle, and it's attached by a magnet here to the windshield, or to the rear window. And then the front one right here, we attach to the front windshield and connect that 6 meters to that. Run it through the headliner somehow, tuck it all in there, and connect it to the head unit here. It connects up, actually doesn't connect where my thumb's at, that's where the power goes. It's going to connect in that front part on the windshield, that's where the takeoff is. So yep, piece of cake. We're going to get this bad boy installed today. So I did a little look up. It is a 140-degree field of view, automatic incident detection. We are not using this power 12-volt takeoff. I don't want that in the car. They just catch on luggage or people getting in and out when you're traveling anyway. So it does have automatic incident detection of G-force sensor, 1920 by 1080 resolution, 30 frames a second, 64 gigabyte micro SD card, which we purchased separately, and a little 2.5-inch display screen, and it takes great pictures. Its processing filter and filter on the lens are great. Stay along to the end where I'm going to show you some sample videos where it saves separate files front and rear, about 1 minute in length, and I think you can adjust those up to 3 minutes, but we are not installing this 12-volt takeoff or adapter. I had purchased on Amazon separately. I think it's $30, a hardwire kit from NextBase. Yep, if I could just get someone to help me shoot these videos, you might actually see what I'm talking about. But gotta trust me, it came in a little box from Amazon, less than a day to my house. So it just uses a little fuse takeoff piggyback. So with a little 2 amps to operate the camera's power, and the powers the rear cam from the front cam. It can go into any fuse, I think up to 30 amps. And in my case, I think I was using a 15 amp. Stay tuned as I've installed that. We'll see. But you just pull your 15 amp, your whatever fuse you're going to replace, pull out your unit out of the fuse box, install it in here, put this back in, and now you've got a separate 2 amp coming off, and the whatever original amp you had is still there. So 2 fuses into 1 space. So it works really, really well. Don't know what I was talking about here because I'm doing voiceover. First time ever on Jamie Cars, we'd had a video shoot with absolutely no sound. I didn't even know that was possible with the Google Pixel. But yep, using the smartphone is always fun. So, yep, I had just finished shooting the Stowaways video, getting the dead, dried bug carcasses out of the V70 taillights. So if you watch that video, this one was shot the same night. Shadows are getting dark, it's getting cooling off across the street. I already have half the trim out of the back cargo area. So it's super simple just to continue working on this. And let's start installing this camera, the V70 Dash Cam system in the Volvo V70, affectionately known as Ragnar in the family. All right, YouTube, going to show you. I took this apart before, looked in there, made sure it wasn't this thing rattling. The oh shit handle. Somewhere right in there is a rattle. I can kind of hear it. Sort of hear it, but when I'm driving down the road, it just vibrates right above my head. I mean, there's my headrest. It's right there. Drives me nuts. I know there's an airbag through here. I kind of wonder if there is an old rivet holding the airbag or something in here. An old rivet, and maybe it had a rubber grommet to keep it snug, and the grommet's just dried and fallen away, and now the rivet's kind of vibrating in there. I wonder if that's what's going on. I heard that can happen inside the door panels on the window mechanisms. So I'm kind of curious. This side does it, driver's side does it a lot, and the passenger side does it sometimes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the rear camera cable along this side and across the front of the headliner and down, because the camera's going to mount here. And I'm going to run the power from the fuse box, which is right here, up, tuck a bunch of extra cable up here, run that cable over here so the main power will come here. So we'll be able to, I'm going to see if I can take some of this apart and get my hands in there and figure out what is rattling. I don't really want to pull the headliner down yet, but I do have a dream of someday pulling this headliner apart and replacing it with like a dark navy blue. I think it'd look cool with the Nordcap seats. Just customize this out a little bit more. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to play. Since I still got some warm sunshine, I'm going to start on the back. I already pulled this little cover off. Sits right there. Already pulled that apart because I'm going to pull this trim off. This trim's going to come off because I'm going to mount the window thing or the camera right here in the middle. Run the cord through here, tuck it in, put this cover back on, get it up inside the headliner through, because it can just run right through the car. You can see my finger. Run it through here. I got the trim panels off still. Tuck it to the front, coil up that cable, wrap it in some bubble wrap or something, foam, stick it up above the headliner. I'm going to start in the back, run it to the front, and then we'll worry about the rattles and the stuff in the front later. If I don't get all this done, at least the back will be ready to go when I get the front caught up. This trim piece comes off. I think there's 4 of these Torx T25s, and I just use this little, what is this, 1/4-inch drive? This thing's amazing. I love this little thing. Got this at, I think I got this at Ace Hardware, a little Craftsman set, but just have a little T20, T25, whatever that is. This thing works wonders on all these little Torx bolts. I already pulled that one out. That one's out. I just got the 2 on the sides, 1 there and 1 on this side. I'll be able to pop this out and then pull out that trim panel. We'll be good to go. There it is, YouTube. The trim pieces are sitting over there, just stacked. As soon as this one pops off, you take the 4 bolts and just pry it. It'll pop out. It's got little yellow clips. You can see them over there. And then this one just tilts down and slides right out once the bottom one's out, because it's being held in place by this one. So yeah, we're gonna see. I gotta maybe set that back and mark my spot where I want to mount that. Dead center in the middle. And then we're gonna run cords through here. Piece of cake. Time for the first decision. So got to run this cable up through here. It's got to come through the car, and then it's not going to be able to go through this grommet. This, I believe, is the cord for the upper brake light sitting right here. So it's not going to be able to do that. Actually, no, it's not. This is running. That's actually the coolant, or this is actually the, not coolant, window washer fluid. So all the wires are on that side. Yeah, this is coming from, this is just a coolant line, or Jesus, window washer fluid for the rear washer. It comes up through here, folds along, runs over, it goes right into the center bore on the wiper that is sticking through there on the shaft. So I'm not gonna be able to run it through this grommet with it. This is a little pull tab to get this thing to pop out of its spot. I think if I rip this off, I can get this cord to go right through there, run it through here, and we'll just tape it underneath that trim piece. Quick update on the progress. The camera's sitting here. Obviously it tilts and pans and moves. Once I get it all set up, it's on a little magnet, so it's like a BB-8 camera. Got it connected. I think I'm going to tape this together so it can't come apart, and then we'll tape it to the body here. It goes through. I pulled that cap off. I pulled this little, this is how you get this out. You pull down on that right there. So I pulled the nub off, took my knife and just made a crisscross so it can expand just a little bit, shoved this in through after I fed it up through here, fed it through there so it's nice and snug still. Hopefully it won't leak, or if it does, it's not going to leak a lot. And then yeah, that's it. All right, here's my solution. So got it poked through there, fed through, and then I took my little Swiss Army knife tool and kind of cut the inside edge, kind of pulled a little too far on this outside, but it's still sealed, on the inside of this seal grommet, so it can still sit square with the cable coming through the edge. All right, here's what I got as a solution to first try to see if we can get all these little grommets to pop back into place. Got it running through. It's coming up. It's tucked out of the way of this little push button, or the push pin. Another push pin there. I don't know what this is. This is just an opening. Ooh, that's actually sharp. I wonder what that was. Anyway, I got it tucked because it has to come, the trim piece needs to fit over the top of this brake light. And I think I got just enough gap, and I'll be able to adjust and spin that little light, the little BB-8 light, or the camera, whatever it is. So let's see if it fits. I was looking in here. I don't think I got any obstructions. It fits! Yeah! Still got just enough slack. You can see the edge of my duct tape sticking out right there, but no one's going to see that. It sticks out a little bit because this is sitting on top, but a little bit of heat, that thing will just shape right to it. Both trim pieces are back on. 4 Torx bolts holding it together. Close this down. Look at that. Got a little spy camera sitting right there. Oh, it even popped out. I didn't even plan that. It's fitting between the 2 little defrost things, so I didn't really think about how that was going to work. I wasn't sure how much space I had here. Could have gone a little higher, but it would have been dead center in the middle. So yeah, a little stealthy. Nice. All right, now gonna start running cable. All this connector cable for the back camera to get to the front camera way up there by the mirror. And we're gonna go all the way along the right edge up here. Since I have this trim off, we're gonna go all the way along the edge to the front. See if we can tuck it around. This part looks pretty easy. I just pried on this and it just pops down. So it's just compression fit sitting in there with its shape. Pull this door, pull the front door. I'm gonna have access to get all the way up there. I just want to run enough cord. I probably have 20 some feet of it. Why, I don't know, but I'm gonna run the cord. I'm gonna run the connector just long enough to get to the camera in the front. And then I'm gonna coil up the extra and stuff it inside the headliner back here. That way if it's vibrating, it's not near my head. I got enough rattles by my head. So we're gonna make any extra rattle vibrating back here. All right, trying to run this through, but leave the coil in the back so I can coil it and stuff it back up inside of here. It won't rattle like that, but I actually was able to run it through this pillar. This all peels off. I can just get my fingers in there and run it through the pillar. Now I got an airbag sitting in here for the side curtain airbag that pops down. So I gotta make sure I can squish it, the cable behind, past the airbag. So it's gonna run more. The airbag's sitting right here. I'm gonna squish it and see if I can get it further in there. I might pull this off. Might pull this little shit handle off and then I can get a little bit more access. That'll probably help me over here too. All right, yep, that's the process. 2 more of these and we're to the front. All right, awkward filming positions continue. So just pop these covers off, a little screwdriver in there. They just lift out really nice and easy. Just be careful not to mar the edges. Inside of there is, each side has a 10mm. So just on both those, it stays attached to the headliner, but it allows it to flex away. And let's see, I did the front one too. So you can see it pulls away once I pull that strip down, this little trim strip for the airbag pop out. I'm gonna turn around. Ooh, God, that's a tight spot. Let's see if I can show you the airbag. So here's the edge of the headliner, pulling that trim piece out of the way. Side curtain airbag right there. So now, I believe I can get up, I can shove that cable up above the top of the side curtain airbag so when it blows, it can come down and not get a cable in our face. I think that'll work. Just gotta figure out how to get past this. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out. Check it out, YouTube. Got it to the front. So actually, that thing just pops out of there. It's not attached to the headliner. You can still see the front side curtain airbag. Excuse me, separate from the back one. What I was able to do was, this isn't very big, this connector. And I was able to get it. I couldn't figure out, I didn't want to break this top trim piece where the seatbelt's coming out of. I think it just pries off. Didn't want to mess with it. So what I did was I fed enough cable on top of the airbag, so pushing it back here along this path up inside the head, not on the edge of the window sill where the airbag's at. So past it, pushed tons of cable, and then I came up here, pulled this down just enough, and I could see the head sitting there, reached in and grabbed it and ran it all the way to here. I just gotta pop this loose, this A-pillar cover, and I can run this cord all the way along the front. It'll hang down right in front of the mirror. Perfect. YouTube, this was easier than I thought. So, scooting in here without ripping that rubber. So this A-pillar trim just comes loose. It's got a plastic retainer, but I don't need to get in there and twist that retainer. It hurts your fingers. It's really hard to get in there. Keeps it from, when the airbag blows, it keeps it from hitting you in the face. Anyway, so it's got a retainer in there, but I just needed to get it loose so I could thread the cord through here. Once I'm on the front, the headliner's actually got a gap in here, so I can get my finger and tuck that cord all the way along, and look at that. It's sitting right here, ready for me to mount the camera. So I'm gonna mount the camera now, so we can run all the excess cord to the back, pull it through tight, just a little bit of extra, coil it up, put it up on top of that headliner, and then put all the trim pieces back together. We're done on this side, running the rear camera. There it is, the little BB-8 camera. All right, just got the camera mounted. It's still on a little BB-8 pod of its own. Mounted the pod. The hardest part was getting my old GoPro mount off. Took a bunch of acetone and a scraper. Took off my express toll toggle. I think I'm going to mount it over here up inside the tent. It doesn't need to be seen. It's a reader anyway. But now I can run the power cord and then pull this extra cord all the way through and tuck all this trim back together. Front door trim is back in place. My advice is start at the front, come up here, stop, go down there, press it back in along here, and just keep working until it meets perfectly in this corner so you don't stretch it on either one of the sides and have to redo it. So perfect, nice and easy, it just presses into place. All right, YouTube, back in the back, I just put 3 zip ties on it, coiled it up, and I'm gonna pull this down a little bit, slide it up, get it back in about here on the side window, just have it tucked up in there so it's not hitting anything that moves. I want to keep it away from this, what is that, just a strut for the, holds the roof up. And I think I replaced those already. Definitely did on the cross country. But anyway, yeah, this goes back in and I can put the trim panels back on. We are good to go. Check it out, right? These orange lines, I'm pretty sure are the airbag system. So this is the controller that blows out the side curtain airbag for the back. Definitely, I don't know where the front one's at. It might be further up there. Anyway, look, add a little grommet, little holder for a cable that fits perfectly for my black camera line to the rear BB-8 camera. Put a little duct tape right there. It is tucked up in there, nice and easy. It's sitting right about here. All in there, nice and snug. YouTube, phase 1 is complete. You just see a little bit of cord popping out right here. So I can adjust the BB-8 angle. Once we get it in there, it sits on a magnet. Sorry you couldn't see that. See, little BB-8 rotates, pivots. It's just a little magnetic adhesive. It's a little cord sticking out. Fits perfect. Cord's running there in the trap. Oh, the trim is back in. It's all back together. Seats are up. You can see up there on just above the rear view mirror, you can see the cord coming out of the headliner. That connects the rear cam to the front cam. That is not the power cord. It's the rear cam connector to the front cam. Tomorrow, I just got a deal up there on the passenger side, running in the headliner and down the A-pillar to the fuse box. Little tap. And I'm also going to see if I can find what the hell that rattle is above my head on the driver door, up in the airbag area. All right, that's a wrap for day 1. We'll finish this up tomorrow. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to March. It's noon, March 1st in Colorado. It is 61 degrees out there where that sunshine's at, but I can assure you it's in the 40s in the garage in the shade. Welcome to Colorado. That sunshine is awesome and warm. You can see the people over there in short sleeves, shorts playing tennis. And I'm stuck in the garage, freezing my butt off until the sun and that shadow goes away. And a little breeze makes it a little bit worse. But today we're doing the power supply. Got Def Leppard playing today on the laptop on YouTube Music, so I think we're good. Putting in the permanent hardwired power supply. Going to tie it to a fuse box and see if we can find that rattle above my head in the headliner. Let's get going. All right, YouTube, already pulled off the driver's door. Oh shit handle. I'm going to run the power from here up through above into the headliner. I already took this off. I'll show you that in a second. Got this pulled off so I can get access to the bolts. I'm going to run it down the A-pillar. And then right here in the fuse box is where we're going to do our tap. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. So it doesn't have to run very far. I'm going to have a ton of extra cord I got to deal with. And hopefully I can just place all that extra cord right here above the visor. But just wanted to show you this little clip that sits in here. This little top piece. It sits in there like that. It's just kind of pressured in. It's got little side clips here you can reach up there and get, and it opens up here so that you can see this little lever. This is a weird little piece. That little piece goes in there and makes it sit firm so it can't pop out of its little slot. It's just in there by compression. But if you take a screwdriver, you can pop this and then reach up in there and you can separate that little grommet right there, or whatever that is, that little edge. You can push this back and get it to start coming out. I just pulled, but now that I have it out, I see that I can squeeze these with my fingers and it slides right out. So it just comes out of there nice and easy. This one I just pulled off with my fingertips, and then it actually slides off completely. And we have access, should be 2 10mm bolts. I just want to create a little bit extra flex here. I'm gonna pull this A-pillar trim down and pull this piece out, and then see if I can get a little extra flex out of this headliner to see in here to find that rattle. That rattle's sitting right back here somewhere. I hate it. All right, YouTube, just 2 10mm bolts. We're holding the visor in, and then it has a little clip You can see it is able to disconnect, and we're already getting some play here with the two visor things off. Yep, getting some more flex. I'll definitely be able to get all my cabling in there. But you can see this kind of comes apart. It just slides off. They were all tucked in right underneath these two green tabs that are holding it into the headliner. And once it's out, you can kind of grab that black thing and kind of slide. The clips are together. The two pieces, the male and the female, are together. You can kind of get your finger under that edge, lift it up just enough that it will slide away from these green tapped ones once they're out, because they can now move. And then you can just unclip it. It's pretty simple. Just had a little, right here was a little nub that was sticking in that hole, just a little flex, and that thing just popped apart. And I can get this visor out of the way, keep my clip here, and yeah, gonna pull off the A-pillar, pull off this, see if we get enough flex to look inside here and find our rattle. All right, just pulled that trim off. It's underneath my legs. You can see it all the way around. There's no more little trim. You can see all the airbag tucked up in there. You can just see it hidden away. Little airbag. I am pulling my little IPD turbo boost module out of the way, so create up a little bit extra space for this A-pillar trim to pop loose. And it's just to pry it out with your fingers carefully. And it is connected by two retaining clips. I think there's one here and one down there that keep it, when the airbags blow, it keeps it from blowing in your face and your head hitting this in an accident. So it just kind of allows it to pop and free, but not go anywhere. So there's two little retainer clips in there, but we just need to pop it loose and leave the retainer clips holding it. Well, that's very reassuring. This is actually the retainer clip that's supposed to keep it sitting up there when I pop it loose. And it is compressed and just came right on out. So I might have another one of these I pulled out of the junkyards over the past several months. So I'll look and see if I can replace this one. So I'm not really sure what happened here, but that's not how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to stay in right there until I twist it to pull it out. So I'm not really sure what happened. All right. I stuck the, I can't get enough access. I did pull this little trim piece off right here on the top of the B pillar, but there's still not enough flex to get this all. Maybe if I pull this one off, it'll flex a little bit more, but I'm still attached up in here with the sunroof. I don't really want to mess with it. This headliner is still in really good shape. I would like to put a blue, maybe a, I don't know, suede or something up in there, navy blue, to match the Nordcap seats at some point. But right now that's not an option, and I don't feel like dealing with this right now. So we're just gonna run a power supply today. I did get outside and take the shop vac with the little nozzle on it and get it up inside here to see if I could pull out anything that might be rattling around. I didn't hear anything come through the nozzles, so I'm not finding it. Whatever it is sitting in here, and it's not this trim piece. It's in there. But now I'm not hearing it, so I don't know. Maybe we tighten it up, it's gone. I have no idea. Let's run some power for this camera. All right, quick update. I got the power supply in. I'm gonna zip tie these two together so they sit nice and neat. You can kind of see it. Geez, I gotta look at what I'm filming. So I got the power supply in. I'm gonna zip tie these two together so they sit nice and neat in here, and they go up to the headliner. You can kind of see it. They just tuck in. There's a little gap in here. I can just slide them in. There's a magnetic ferrule thing to help cut out power interference to the camera. It's supposed to be within 20 centimeters of the camera, but that puts it too close to here, and I don't have any flexibility. So I moved it over here, and it's just kind of where I had some more flexibility in the headliner. I tucked it in there, and it just sits right against it. I have so much hardwired power cable. So what I'm going to do is I've run it from this side where I know I need a length, up and over. Now I'm going to drop down, and we're going to do this red power supply, tap it into a fuse tap, and then once I have it run coming up the A-pillar, I'm going to coil all of these extra cables, the black one and the red power one, and tuck them in right above the visor. There's nothing in here. There's plenty of space for them to sit. So they're all going to sit in there, and we're going to do it from the two ends and just loop all the stuff in the middle and set it up here. There you go. Now you can kind of get a look at what we're doing. That's the plan. Let's start looking for a fuse. It says to grab a fuse. Here, I'll get out and show you that. So this cover comes off. These are the front fuses. There's a fuse panel box in the back. I have tons of cable to do it, but I don't feel like dealing with the headliner all the way up. So here's my fuses. There's a map over there on that panel I just pulled off. And it says you want to use a fuse that is 20 amps or less. And almost all of them up here are. Actually, I think every single one of them is 20 or less. And you want one that is always only on when the key is on, when the car's on, so that way the camera is not draining the battery. It does have a safety feature to keep it from draining a battery, but it's just best not to deal with that. Always on only. And then obviously right here we have our ground, and we're using that already on a tap that is for the this is for the light on the turbo boost, excuse me, on the turbo boost gauge. It has a different kind of a little tap coming in here. I think it's on a 15, which is interesting because it's the cigarette, it's the 12 volt not cigarette lighters anymore, but the 12 volt chargers. And it was a 20 amp supposed to be, but IPD sends it out with a 15, so it's always worked. But yeah, we have a power we can take off of a fuse, piggyback, and then we're gonna have a ground up there just like we've used it before. So yeah, we'll just double that up and get this put together. All right, so I was wrong. There are a few 30s up here in the front fuse box compartment. See all my extra fuses I've collected from the junkyard. Ironically, when I got this, it didn't have any. It didn't have any extra fuses, so I've just kind of collected some and thrown them in here. There are a few 30s, got the little white puller there. What I'm going to do is always has to be on when the key's on, so I'm going to use the front heated seat right-hand side, passenger side. Number 8 is a 15 amp. We're going to use that, less than 20, and only on when the key's on. So that's what we're going to use to power the camera system. And 7 would be an option too. That's the driver's side. Left-hand side, heated seat, front heated seat. But if this thing blows up, I'm not going to have a heated seat. So I'm going to be selfish, and we're going to put it on the passenger side since it's usually me driving in this car. I'm going to leave my heat seater out of the equation, and we'll just do the passenger side. So that should work. It's 15 amps, and we'll get the piggyback going. Let me show you the piggyback. So what it does is this is a connector for the red. That just goes to the red power cable of the thing. Up there. That red goes to there. But here's the fuse. So it's got its little, you can see it, 2 amps sitting there. Right there's a 2, but then below it, so it's a 2 amp fuse feeding this red power cable for the camera. And below it are 2 teeth where we can put the 15 amp that's already in the box for the heated seat on the right hand side. It will continue to operate with its thing, and it replaces, this should stick out just enough, and it's going to replace the right hand heated seat fuse by sticking this in there with the fuse now with its 15 amp now placed up here. We should have direct power, so we should be good to go. I think first though I need to connect a ground before I do any of the power side. It's ground first, so I'm gonna go pull the directions on this NextBase unit, but I think I need to connect that black cable, that power the ground to right here where we've grounded the other one. So yeah, they'll ground together. All right, I've piggybacked the ground there on the bolt for the dash. The ground is the same with the one on the IPD turbo boost gauge for the light on it. And then now you can see what I've done here. I've pulled the 15 from space number 8 next to the bottom. And then it sits in just like that. It goes back into the top slot, so it still operates on a 15. And it has a separate draw of a 2 amps powering this camera system. So now I just got to put it back into its spot for 15. And I think I can put it in upside down or right side up, depending on how this is all going to fit together in there. I think I can get the cable back in behind it. Yeah, sit back like that. Perfect. All right, you can see it. I got it in there. It was snug to fit because this little plastic dash mount right here is a little hard to get it in there. But I was able to worm it and get it into the spot. It does kind of block these other two, but you can pull it out. It's not going to cause a major problem. This car's not throwing a bunch of fuses. So now I'm going to run the cables up through the A-pillar, red and black, and we'll coil them up there. This is pretty easy, YouTube. I got the fuse covers back on. The red and black cables are coming out, or power lines are coming out of right there. Put a little duct tape just to hold them in place. No more little duct tape here. Make sure I'm not covering any mounting holes. Tucked them in along the back of this wiring harness. Duct tape again, and look at that. I'm underneath the headliner. So yeah, they are all hanging down. So now I just got, this is all the same system. So there's a little LED here, so I should probably do a quick battery check. Put some power, put the key on, turn it on, see if I get an LED light here, and see if that thing turns on. Maybe I should have done that, yeah. Let's do that before we coil up all these cables and tuck them into the roof. I got tons of extra cable sitting here. I got a coil. Let's throw it all on the dash so you can see it all. There's a lot. All that's got a coil. And it's gonna sit right here above my headliner, above the headliner, right above my visor. You can see there's enough space. There's nothing in there. So it'll sit there and coil and sit flat. YouTube, we're live. I got the key in the ignition. We are gonna turn it on and hopefully we don't hear a bunch of sparks. Let's see if anything powers up. Let's find out what happens. New to me. Ignition's on. Actually, let's just start the car. Oh, and it just turned on. We're live. We are working. Car's running. Do we have it? Oh, look at that. I just saw a blue light. There's a blue light. Solid blue light, I think, means it's sending and receiving. And it's doing all kinds of communications up here. I have a reverse cam and a front cam. Sweet! It's working and it's actually recording. It's automatically set, I think, when the car powers up to start recording. So yeah, I think it works. Now let's hide some cable. All right, super simple. Just a couple zip ties on this giant coil of black. A couple more over here on the coil of red and black separately. Just gonna tuck them in, slide them in as far as they'll fit. So I have plenty of room up here that this doesn't puff down. And we'll remount the visor, get the A-pillar in here, and we're good to go. All right, it's creating a little bit of a poof, but I can pull it tight. It'll be fine. This box, I really don't have, I had to unclip on the black coil. I had to unclip the zip ties and just kind of feed it in there loosely so they can all kind of push back a little bit more. It's set way too big. The red one and black one is separate lines. That's a little bit smaller wire gauge, so it works a little bit better. But I'm gonna leave this little box just sticking out the edge. And I'll be able to see that LED light kind of hanging down there. So that's the plan right now, is that when this tightens up, it'll just sit just outside. And if I ever need to see if it's got power, if we got problems, I'll be able to see it. So it'll sit like that. That's my plan. Not perfect. It's got a little bit of a bow right here where the ferrite coil, take out the magnetic interference from the line, sits in here. It's got a little bit of a bow and just a little bit, but once it snugs tight, we're gonna be good. It'll be fine. No big issues. Going back together. A-trim next. All right, YouTube, there it is. It just sticks out right here. The blue light does indicate, it says right on there, the blue LED does say that it's got input and output. Flashing is that it just has input only, no output. So I'm not sure what the heck the output is. It must be the rear camera? Not sure, that's interesting. But I got the visor mounted back up, caps back on. This is all in place. Caps on, it's all bolted, two 10mm bolts in there underneath that little vanity cover. And I have, well, if I put the key in, I will show you. It works. So the little clip is plugged back in. I got the oh shit handle back in. I got to put a clip here to figure out what the heck happened with my retainer. See if I have another replacement one or if I can fix this one. I'm not sure why it locked itself closed. So yeah, get that done, get the A-pillar back on here, get the trim back on, and I'm going to take this for a test drive. All right, my current guess on this thing is these are supposed to turn a half a turn to come out of their keyhole. You can see it right there. And there's another keyhole right there. And then once they're keyholed both on both sides, when it gets pressed into place, it snaps together and holds itself. My guess is one of these wasn't keyholed, and it allowed it to just pull apart. So that's what I'm guessing happened. I'm gonna test these, make sure they fit, and then when they lock together, that male fits into that female with a snap. And once they're keyholed though, it's gonna break this apart when it blows. So I'm guessing when I pulled it off, it was not keyholed and it just allowed it to separate as it was. YouTube, those keyhole retainer safety straps are a pain in the ass. Every time I try to do it, you don't have enough to do both keyholes. So I actually fixed it together. So it's the male and the female of the separate keyholes were together. Keyholed the inside one so it was sitting there, and then I punched it into place. So it is firmly not coming out. So I hope that worked. Yeah, everything's working great. I just turned it on. I have power to the light for the IPD turbo boost gauge. And the camera's still coming on, although it's telling me low battery, but it's been sitting for months since Christmas when I got it, so no charge. Yeah, we'll get this thing going, and I'm going to tidy this up, put that strip back into place, vacuum it out, and take it for a drive. YouTube, I'm out driving around, brought the V70 into the 2020's with a front-facing cam and a rear-facing cam. I'm recording. I think it's programmed to I think it records on 5-minute blocks and then just starts a new file automatically. Yeah, it's all set. I'm ready to go. Hit the roads. All right, YouTube, that's how you do it. Piece of cake. Be safe out there. Have fun. Be sure to jump down below and hit that subscribe button so you can follow along on new video uploads. Yeah, we're making progress. Be safe out there, YouTube. It's not all good news, YouTube. Think I made this rattle worse. I'm just gonna hold this up here above my head while I'm driving here. Can you hear that? It's driving me nuts. One giant step closer to ripping this headliner off and finding out what the hell that is. Let's see if I can hit a bump here. Do you hear that? It's just worse. I have no idea what that is. Post down below in the comments. Help me out, YouTube. What is in there that is rattling like that? Hello, YouTube. Been driving with the new V70 Dash Cams for about 10 days. Just did an oil change and a rotation of the tires, taking it out for the little Italian tune-up, and it just struck me. Why didn't I just talk to the dash cam and let it record the sound and you can see the picture quality? I have it kind of tucked away behind my rear view mirror so I can just kind of see the lower strip to tell that it's recording. It just does 1-minute intervals and creates a new file every time, I believe. And it automatically turns on, no issues when I turn on the key. It's also set to have a mild G-force, I think. So when the car's turned off, it will turn itself on battery power and film in the event it experiences a mild G-force. I'm not sure what that is exactly, but it turns itself on if it thinks it's been hit. So